What if I told you that the greatest filly North America ever produced almost wasn't taken seriously? She wasn't the biggest horse on the track. She wasn't the loudest presence in the paddock. But the moment she hit that dirt, something shifted. The crowd felt it. Her rivals felt it. Even the men she beat felt it. In a sport that had been dominated by colts, by speed merchants, by animals bred purely for power, along came a small bay mare who silenced every doubt with her hooves. 11 Grade 1 victories, 17 graded stakes wins, over $3 million earned, and a heart so fierce that her own trainer compared her to Marilyn Monroe, Grace Kelly, and Ginger Rogers all at once. This is the story of Serena Song. She came into this world on the 4th of April, 1992, bred in the rolling hills of Kentucky by Dr. Howard J. Baker, a bay filly by the sire Rahy, out of a mare called Imagining, who was a daughter of Northfields. Serena's Song arrived with bloodlines that whispered promise, even if the world hadn't yet listened. A year later, at the 1993 Keeneland July yearling sale, Hall of Fame trainer D. Wayne Lukas spotted something in her. He bought her for $150,000 on behalf of owners Robert and Beverly Lewis, a couple whose name would soon be etched alongside hers into racing history. What Lukas saw that day was not just a horse. It was a once-in-a-generation soul. She did not arrive quietly. Her debut in 1994 ended in a 5th-place finish. Modest, forgettable, the kind of result that makes owners wince and trainers rethink. But Lukas trusted what he saw beyond the finish line. He shipped her west, and in her 3rd career start, she announced herself to the world by winning by 10 full lengths at Hollywood Park. From that point on, she was a force of nature. She took the Grade 2 Landerloos Stakes by more than 4 lengths, then swept the Grade 1 Oakleaf Stakes and followed it up with the Grade 1 Hollywood Starlet. By the time the Breeders' Cup Juvenile fillies arrived, the racing world had taken notice. In that race, she went toe-to-toe with the undefeated sensation Flanders and lost by a single head. A head. Barely the length of a breath separated her from perfection. She closed out that first season with nearly $600,000 in earnings and the feeling that she was only just getting started. 1995 was not just a good year for Serena's Song. It was her year, hers entirely. She opened her sophomore campaign with back-to-back wins, including the Las Virgenes Stakes and the Santa Anita Oaks, building momentum the way a storm builds over open water, slowly, then all at once. Before the Kentucky Derby, she marched into the Jim Beam Stakes at Turfway Park, a race traditionally dominated by colts preparing for the classics, and won it outright. She beat the boys before anyone thought a filly could. Then came the Kentucky Derby itself, where she lined up against the best 3-year-olds in the country. She finished 16th that afternoon, a rare off day for a horse of her caliber. But she didn't sulk, she didn't slow down, and she didn't stop. She returned to face her own division and demolished the field in the Black-Eyed Susan Stakes by 9 commanding lengths. 9. She then added the Mother Goose Stakes and the Gazelle Handicap to her ever-growing collection. But nothing defined her 3-year-old campaign quite like the Haskell Invitational. The Haskell Invitational at Monmouth Park had never been won by a filly, not once in its entire history. It was a race for colts, run against colts, expected to be decided by colts. Serena's Song had other ideas. She stepped into that gate, drew the attention of every soul in the grandstand, and then proceeded to beat the males by 3/4 of a length, becoming the first filly in the race's history to cross the wire first. When she came back to the winner's circle that day, she wasn't just a horse. She was a statement. She closed out her 3-year-old season by defeating older mares in the prestigious Beldame Stakes, sealing the Eclipse Award as the champion 3-year-old filly of 1995. Her earnings that season alone crossed $1.5 million, and she was still not done. Where many champions fade after their defining year, Serena Song simply kept going. As a 4-year-old in 1996, she raced an extraordinary 15 times and never once finished worse than third. Let that sink in. 15 starts, and not once did she falter beyond a podium finish. She opened the year with consecutive Grade 1 victories in the Santa Monica Handicap and the Santa Maria Handicap. She then added the Pimlico Distaff on the undercard of the Preakness Stakes, the very track where she had dominated the Black-Eyed Susan a year before. The Fleur de Lis Handicap and the Hempstead Handicap followed, cementing her final Grade 1 triumph. She ran hard in the Whitney Handicap against males, nearly pulling off another stunning upset, and ended her final season as the runner-up in the Breeders' Cup Distaff. She retired carrying a record of 18 wins, 11 second-place finishes, and 3/3 from 38 starts, along with total earnings of over $3.2 million, the highest ever recorded by a filly or mare in North America at that time. In 2002, Serena Song was inducted into the National Museum of Racing and Hall of Fame on the very first ballot. No waiting, no second chances required. Just an immediate, unanimous recognition that she belonged among the immortals of the sport. Her trainer, D. Wayne Lukas, himself a Hall of Famer, once said of her, "She had the elegance of a Grace Kelly, the moves of a Ginger Rogers, and the charisma of a Marilyn Monroe." And then, in a quieter moment, he added, "It's not what we can see that counts. It's ultimately what we can't see that makes them great. It's the inside, the heart, and she had plenty of that. She was tough. Tough. That single word, coming from a man who trained more champions than most trainers ever dream of, said everything." On the 9th of December, 1996, Serena Song arrived at Denali Stud near Paris, Kentucky, and she never left. As a broodmare, she proved that her greatness was never confined to the racetrack. She produced 12 named foals, 11 of whom raced, and 9 of whom won. Her first foal, Serena's Tune by Mr. Prospector, became a multiple stakes winner in her own right. And through her grandchildren, the bloodline eventually produced Honor Code, the 2015 champion older dirt male horse. Her second foal, Sophisticat by Stormcat, crossed the Atlantic and won the prestigious Grade 1 Coronation Stakes at Royal Ascot in England. Grand Reward, Harlington, and Schramsberg each carried her blood to graded stakes victories of their own. By 2015, she retired from broodmare duties entirely. The paddocks of Denali became her permanent home, a quiet kingdom where she spent her mornings in soft Kentucky light, accepting peppermints from the hands of people who adored her. Over the years, she helped raise thousands of dollars for Thoroughbred charities, simply through the donation of her halters. She gave, even in stillness. On the morning of Wednesday, the 11th of March, 2026, Serena Song left this world as she had lived in it, with dignity, with grace, and on her own terms. She passed away peacefully at Denali Stud, surrounded by the home she had known for 30 years, taken by the quiet infirmities of old age. She was 34 years old. Her beloved trainer D. Wayne Lukas had predeceased her, passing away in June of 2025. And when Denali's Konrad Bandorov announced her passing to the world, he found the words that so many struggled to form. "I would like to think that Wayne had a stall ready for her up there, and that he, Bob, and Beverly welcomed her with open arms." Craig Bandorov who had cared for her across 3 decades, spoke with the kind of honesty that grief earns. Some things can't be replaced. You just have to be thankful they came your way. Serena meant more to Denali than I can describe. She was, and always will be, as they called her, the queen of Denali stud. If this story moved you, if it reminded you why horses are not just animals but living poetry, then share it. Share it with someone who loves this sport, with someone who has never watched a single race, with anyone who needs to be reminded that true greatness is quiet, consistent, and always earned. Drop a comment telling us your favourite memory or moment from Serena Song's career. And if you're new here, welcome. You just met a queen. Subscribe and stay for the stories worth telling.